I make roughly over $3,000 per YouTube video that I edit for my clients. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is dannyrio. These are some of the clients that I've worked with. This is just a fraction of them. I've been doing this for about 5 years now, and one of the biggest things that I do on a day-to-day basis is I keep up with the markets of YouTube, and I learn about what creators are missing in their lives, how editors can improve them, and this is my entire system for making over $3,000 per video. If you don't believe me, we're going to go over to the box of proof here. You can see these are some of the transactions that I've had, and all of these you'll notice say video editing services, video editing services, video editing services, video editing services, right? Obviously, I'm going to blur out the names because some of these guys, I'm not actually allowed to reveal who they are. I've signed NDAs with my clients. You can see it's in pounds, but if you convert that over to dollars, you'll find out that it's actually a lot more than it says. In case that you think this is a bunch of baloney and it will only work for a guy like me, in case you think it's a nationality thing, or if you think it's an age thing, I've actually done this with other editors as well to prove that it's real. We can see people here getting paid $15 per second, so not per video, per second. We people getting $1,000 per video, $3,000 per video, $1,000, just under $4,500 per video, $1,000, $1.5, $3,000 per video. So you can see that this works, right? It's not just me, I've actually helped other editors do it as well, and it can happen for you as well if you just watch this video and you learn about what you're doing wrong and how you can fix it, so you start providing $1,000 minimum worth of value for your clients every single video. So we're going to split this video into 3 sections. We're going to split it into, first of all, the market economy. We need to learn about how prices work with every single editor, every single creator, and we need to learn about where we're going wrong before we can actually start implementing the right steps. Then we're going to move over to value distortion. We're going to be looking at more in depth where you're going wrong and how you should be moving forward, and then ultimately the fix. Now, before you jump over to see what the fix is, that won't work unless you understand the first 2 steps, which is market economy, of course, and then value distortion. So when you hear the word market, you're probably going to think of either the stock market or like the farmer's market, where a market is a place where people go to buy and to sell, right? Creators are buying, editors are selling, right, their services. And as a collective, these prices are determined via value, but value is relative. Some editors provide more value than other editors, meaning they are worth more, meaning when they say a higher price, it's more likely to get accepted by certain creators. And we know this for sure because anybody can just say a price. Anybody can say, I'm worth $3,000, but they've never been accepted by a creator for $3,000. Number 1 to determining a price is reciprocity. All it takes is one client to say yes to you for that to be your new price. We have 2 images here, right? One of them says, I charge $1,000, okay, and not, right? Now, the reason why some of them will say it's too expensive or no thank you or you're not worth that price is because they've seen other editors, generally because of their offer. And their offer is just the service that they are going to provide to the creators in exchange for money. And if your offer isn't as good as the other editors at the same price, then there's no point in working with you. The logic obviously says I'm going to go to the guy with the better offer, charging the same price. Now, this is kind of how prices work, right? You have your floors and you have your ceilings. So when you say $1,000, this could potentially be a price that you've been accepted for once, but you don't really get a lot of yeses whenever you say $1,000. And then this is your floor. So this is the amount of money that you would take on for a client, and you are much, much more likely to get accepted for this price, but you obviously don't want to work at such a low price, right? Now, it could be $500, it could be $1,000, it could be, $200, $100, whatever, right? This is all relative to you. So look at like the clients that you've worked with, look at the prices you've done it for, and tell yourself, am I happy with this? Am I not happy with this? Where do I want to aim for? You can see here that over time, markets change. Let me give you an example, right? When I started editing, I had to start for free. Like, it was very difficult for me to get a paid job because there were so many editors much better than me getting paid. And then eventually, I got my first job, which was $10. Now, for a beginner, $10 is nothing. Beginners nowadays on YouTube, they can get paid about $50, $100 per video, right? Off the bat, it's very easy. Now, on top of this, you need to think about the general market of editors. So your competitors. It is becoming much harder to become a good editor when it comes to the general topic of skill. If you took like an editor worth $2,000 to $4,000 per video now, and then you plop them back into 2021, every single top creator would be fighting over them because that level of skill and that level of knowledge wasn't really as common back then. You know, people knew a lot less about editing and a lot less about YouTube production back then than they do now. That's why the general level goes up. So when you go to learn a new piece of information or you get better at editing, your first instinct is, I'm going to charge higher. But what you don't know is that some of that information is probably common knowledge to the rest of the market. You need to think about, how good am I compared to the editors around me? And you need to make sure that you're beating the rest of the market to actually prove your worth, to actually start charging higher. Because you can't charge higher if you are not as good as everybody else at that current level. You have got to be better than everybody else charging that price in order to charge more, if you know what I mean. You have got to beat your competitors at that current price point in order for you to charge more, in order for the market of creators to look at you and say, do you know what? You know, I think I'll take you up on that offer. You know, you do seem pretty good at what you do, and I want to pay you that much. And this is why skill is so important. In order for your prices, your new prices to get accepted, you have to have improved by a lot. Because obviously the market shifts every single day. Editors get better and better every single day. And if you aren't, you're actually being worth less. This is generally the supply and demand of skill when it comes to, you know, the market. Now, at the beginning, there's going to be quite a bit of supply when it comes to editors, and there's going to be very little demand. You can be replaced by AI because AI tools, stuff like Runway AI and stuff like Firecut AI, you know, these things are basically replacing you. So when there's like a lot of editors starting out, there's not going to be any reason to hire you when they can just use AI. But if we look at the other end of things, when skill is further down the line, so remember, I'm not talking about just the height of things, but also when we go further down the x-axis, there's more skill in these editors, right? And these are the most skilled editors. But on top of this, there's the most demand for this because AI can't really replace that skill, that knowledge. The richest clients on YouTube are willing to pay you that much because it's a very scarce resource. Your knowledge and your skill is a very scarce resource. It cannot be replicated, right? You can't copy somebody's mind. You can't copy somebody's knowledge. That's unique to them, which is why skill is so important. If you can increase your skills, your demand goes way up. But in the middle here, there's this kind of cross section where there's no really need to hire editors, but also, there's going to be the occasional ones. It gets very conditional. And that's why in the middle area, not a lot of editors are getting jobs. And if they are, they're getting paid like $200-300 per video. But if they actually start to really increase their skill, their prices exponentially increase. You could go from $300 to $1,000 per video with just a few tweaks in the span of like a month. So that's why it's important to go all the way up. Now, how do we actually increase our skill? How do we actually provide more value to our clients? Well, understand the market has never been more fucked, right? I've spoken to a lot of creators. I've reviewed a lot of editors, and creators can't hire editors because they're so expensive, and editors can't get jobs because they're charging too much for the little value they provide. So there's two things you can actually do here. You can either start providing more value to your clients so that you can actually establish the price that you want to charge, or you can charge less and have your acceptance rates go up. Now, most of you are probably going to say the first one because nobody wants to charge less, nobody wants to make more money. So there's two categories of editor economies. There's the commodity economy, and then there's the multiplier economy. Now, the reason why it's called the multiplier economy is because with just a bit more work, your prices go up so much more. It kind of multiplies as it goes. And then the commodity economy is essentially just editors who don't have any uniqueness to them. There's nothing that they provide that they can't find with 100 other editors. You want to start getting to a point where you're in the multiplier economy. You're in the very, very niche kind of group, that cohort of editors that charge a lot more And it's actually worth paying that much because they can do things other editors can't. If you can't show that uniqueness, if you can't show that difference, their brains, the brains of creators, they're just automatically going to put you in the category of commodity. They're just going to be like, yep, seen that. And we have this as well. Every human has this function where they can spot something very common and they throw it away. It's like when you check your emails and you read the words like 30% off or sale or free, and your mind just kind of like blanks it out. Like, I've seen this a million times before. This is nothing special. Go away. So when a creator looks at your work, there's a chance that same effect is kicking in and it's saying, do you know what? This is a commodity. I've seen this a million times. I've seen so many editors like this. You're nothing special. Therefore, you're not worth the amount that you say you're worth. You want to get to a point where you look different. And then they say, wow, you actually are. Let me pay that much. Okay. So for example, if you're an editor that copies other editors' styles, you're literally going backwards in progress. So this is a big mistake I see a lot of editors do. I tried this style. I edited in this style. What do you guys think? I think that you didn't really prove anything because the most exciting part about the style is the novelty. I've never seen this before. Wow, this is unique. I'm going to pay a lot of money for this. But if you copy another editor's style, you're just a bootleg, right? You're a commodity. You're not really showing what your mind can do. And the reason this is important is because of what we're going to do next, right? Skill represents your competence. It represents how far your mind can go when it comes to thinking, when it comes to generating and creating. And that basically is insurance for creators. That's basically saying, whew, okay, my editor knows what he's doing. I don't have to worry if he's going to go and make some stupid mistake or if I'm going to have to give him 100 revisions, right? They can relax and they can say, do you know what? I can trust him to do the job. And you really need to hammer this down because editing is the greatest pain point with creators. Literally when they hire, you know, the first thing they do is they hire an editor and then they go through this entire loop of scaling. And, you know, within this kind of flowcharts, this kind of looped flowchart of scaling, they hire editors like 3 or 4 times, you know, because editors are that important. Editing is the most dreadful thing in the world. Like any kind of job that would happen on YouTube, editing is definitely the most boring one. And you're probably thinking, Danny, you can't say that. That's so like, I thought you're an editor. Well, yes, but you need to understand that the act of looking at your monitor for 10 hours a day and dragging these blocks, making these adjustments, it's not that fun, right? Doing something active is a lot more fun, and that's quite obvious. But it's about what editing does for us as editors, right? People like to be good at things. People like to be the best at things. People like to learn new things. People like to make money. And as editors, we do all 4 of these things through editing. But creators, they don't have that. You know, creators, they just want to get it done. They don't they don't really enjoy editing as much as you would because you have these 4 things. When you're selling to creators, you're usually charging via these 3 things, right? Probably because you don't enjoy it. So you're saying like, do you know what? I don't really want to edit this. So because you're making me do more work, here's how much it's worth. And then that gets rejected because there's no standing on that where the creator can be like, do you know what? I empathize with you. Why would they empathize? You're like 100 other editors. You're nothing special. If you're not going to do the job, someone is. So they're going to go hire that person. So that's why it's important to do something unique where they can't find anybody else, where there's lower demand. So this could be stuff like becoming a specialized editor, doing 3D, getting good at MoGraphs, and getting paid for the VFX jobs, right? Sound mixers, story editors, and lead editors, etc. These specialized editors, they come later down the line, but they all represent the multiplied economy. YouTube is an attention economy. There's no such thing as authenticity or personality. There's no such thing as fake content because everything's scripted, everything is planned, right? YouTube is about how much attention can you get. It's not about like how much money can you make from AdSense. It's about attention because attention buys power. It creates investment and that power can lead to profit. So stuff like having a cult-like behavior with your fans, it can create purchasing power. You think Alex Hormozi, you know, he didn't sell anything for about 3 years. All of a sudden he sells this like $6,000 product and he makes $170 million in 6 hours, right? $170 million, that's because of the purchasing power that is built up. All that investment that all these viewers had in his journey over the span of 3 years, 3-4 years. They looked at his journey and they kept watching, and that investment turns into purchasing power. So when he sells something for $6,000, they buy it like this. So the NBA and just, general athletes, they're starting to live stream as well. Mr. Beast was talking about it. I don't think he's going to jump into it. I'm making a prediction that live streaming is going to be the next big thing. And I'm making a prediction that people are going to jump into live streaming because of the attention it creates. Here's some more examples of YouTube being an attention economy. The default homepage is smaller, which means that there's more thumbnails to click on. When you go to watch a video, it's no longer click and watch. It's now hover over the thumbnail, click on it, watch the ads, go through the hook, and then determine if it's worth watching your time, and then you watch. There's so much more friction that YouTube have created because there's so much content and there's so much attention to grab. Okay, there's also a new skip ahead feature. So kind of like Netflix, at the bottom right, if you look on the video, it's going to say skip ahead. Attention is becoming even more valuable. There's also just generally dry content selection. If you talk to your friends, or if you talk to literally anybody that watches YouTube, right, they're going to notice that YouTube is getting quite dry. The content isn't very good, and because there's so much content out there, the value goes down, and generally attention becomes a little bit more valuable. And what that means is people stop watching new creators as much, and they just start focusing on the people that are recommended to them by their friends or by their family or, by trusted people, So now you have to start funneling viewers in from like Instagram Reels or TikTok or something, because finding people on YouTube is not quite as easy. How can we lead this to the fix? How can we increase watch time for our viewers so that we can start charging higher prices, right? Well, watch time has 3 benefits: more revenue in AdSense, longer time investment, so building that influence that we were talking about, and the algorithm pushes the video. So this proves that by increasing the watch time for your viewers, by increasing the retention, you can actually get results. And when you get results, you can charge more. So I've given you 3 editing techniques that will help you to increase watch time. Number 1 is eye tracing, right? This is how much work has to be done by the viewers. You'd think it's a bit silly, but when viewers are watching the video, you don't want them to look like up and down and left and right and up and down and left. You want them to be very focused on one thing, okay? So I've given a few examples here. These are 2 editors that I'm coaching, and this is the work that they've created. And then I kind of showed them how to use the real estate in their composition a little bit wiser, right? So then that way, they can start focusing on eye tracing. So you can see this is the first one, this is the first one. And all of these drawings are basically like where you're going to be looking and the kind of the messiness of it all, right? But now with this, so these are the new proposed, the proposed compositions I told them to create. You can see these 2 very clearly, the point system very clearly. You can see the characters very clearly. And then you can also sync up the points with the person rather than having them here and then here. And it's like, oh, where's his, right? And then these 2, they have this triangular kind of relationship where viewers don't have to do much except look here, then here, then here, then here, right? Very simple. Whereas over here, it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to look here, then, oh, where's his points? Oh, right, it's over here. I didn't see that because of the pose and, I don't know what they're doing here. But now the relationship between these layers is a lot more established. The same thing here. You can see what's good, what's bad, and the budget, right? So it's very evenly put. And then along the way, we get to see his face, which is obviously the most human thing to possibly look at, right? But then here, it's kind of like, it makes them feel like these are all 3 different metrics. And why would we have 3 metrics? That's a bit confusing. It's hard to follow, right? But now we just have 2 separate metrics put on both sides, and we can kind of see good, bad, and budget. Now, the next part is tonal homogenization. Big word, I know. Homogenization basically just means, in layman's terms, making multiple diverse. Homogenization in layman's terms means to make multiple diverse audio elements sound the same so that viewers can just group them together. Now, finding good music is hard, and a lot of editors get music revisions from their clients. So instead of paying like $1,000 a year for licensed subscriptions, you can just use the effects in your effect library to create the same kind of ambiance between all of your tracks, so they sound similar. Because now when they listen to the sounds, when they listen to the music, so now when they start listening to the music in the background, It's going to be less of this individualistic track that they're listening to, and they're now going to be listening to the effects first, music after. So for example, if the effects that you put on was pitch shifter, low pass, studio reverb, if you don't know, it gives this kind of like this kind of brooding, scary kind of deeper music, right? So if they listen to the music and all of the music have these same effects with the same values, they're going to hear the effects first and the music after. And then number 3 is narrative weight. Now, each video has structure. Remember, there's no more scripted content. There's no more authenticity. There's no more personality. It's all about structure, right? There's a goal and there's a purpose to these videos, right? So when you're cutting, try to base your cutting not on like dead space or not on like, how fast you can do it. Try to base it on purpose, right? And also the goal. Whatever progresses towards that goal the most and whatever fulfills that purpose the most is the best form of cutting. This one being $1 versus $1 billion yacht. And I bought 1 billion of the world's cheapest currency. The kind of underlying narrative here, right? The thing that viewers really, really feel connected by is not the person. It's not the model of the yacht or the number of, the currency or, what country is it. It's more so to do with the novelty of it. So yachts are like, it's a token symbol of wealth. When you think rich guy, you think champagne, you think yachts, you think private jet, okay? Yachts is a great way to kind of explore that. And the $1 format is the best format for exploring parts of the wealthy world that the common folk will never see. I've never been on a $1 billion yacht. How am I going to find out what's in there? By watching Mr. Beast, right? I've never been to whatever country he's gone to, and I've never spent 1 billion of anything. So I'm going to do it through him. I'm going to live my experience through him. So when you're cutting these videos, you would try to include as many visual anchors as possible. Now, visual anchors are essentially things that you find in videos that you'll never find anywhere else. So if me and you were sitting in a coffee shop and I was telling you about how a volcano burned my leg and scarred it permanently, the first thing you're going to do, I know this, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to be looking back and you're going to lean under the table. You're going to be like, what does this leg look like? And the only way you're going to be able to find out, if I was making this in a video, to find out about my leg is if you saw it, right? I can't describe to you what the scab looks like because people know what scabs look like. People know what like burn marks look like, but they want to see it. So when you look at these Mr. Beast videos and you look at this Will and E video, they're showing things that you can't really describe to somebody. So if I told somebody about this video and I was trying to describe the yacht and I was like, oh dude, you should have seen it. It was like big and gold. And they had like this thing. It's like a I don't know how to describe it. You have to go watch it for yourself. And then they go watch it for themselves, right? So that's all because of visual anchors that you put into the video. You don't include the jokes that they make because jokes can be made anywhere. What is unique about this video that I want to see as the viewer, right? You have to include something that I'm going to want to watch, and that's going to be based around the underlying narrative of this video. So again, with the Will and E thing, what the fuck is he going to buy that's worth 1 billion in the cheapest currency? And then because this was in like Asia, he's probably going to buy like a traditional Asian thing that I wouldn't be able to find in the UK. So when I describe that to someone, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, he bought like this thing. It was like for you, it's like for your house, but it's like they only do it in Asia. Oh, you got to see it, man. You got to see it. When people are watching, they're going to go obviously watch the video to see what the hell I'm talking about, right? So what could we do with these two examples? So first of all, the richest person in history. So for example, in this next one, it's based on curiosity, right? So this channel is obviously, it's the niche is based around money and finance, but it covers like questions that basically everybody asks, like every now and then. So it uncovers this, it basically finds the answer here, and the entire structure breaks down basically, again, all the curiosity that's, held in our mind. So for this next one, it's about support, right? So Iman Gadzi, he does like these finance videos, everything about money, how to make a side hustle, how to, scale your business. He makes content around that stuff. A man's audience is generally like these young, money-hungry teenagers or young adults, but this video in specific is engineered towards the outer circle of his audience, the more kind of open circle content to support the bottom 90%, because it's based around the laziest way to make money. So people that don't want to do the work, this is designed for them, right? Now, obviously, if you're lazy, it probably won't work out so well, but when you're editing this video, if I was editing a video based around the laziest way to make money online, all of my motion graphics would be not engineered around dynamism, how much it moves and how smooth it is. It's going to be all based around how easy is this thing to look at, how easy is it to understand, and how easy it is to learn. There's a lot of people in the world that are visual-based learners, and they have to have some kind of diagram that explains it to them. I'm going to be using less text, I'm going to be using more symbols, and more animations that are functional, less animations that, are 3D camera based and that move around a lot, because we don't need that. We're not here to give them, a headache. We're not here to give them epilepsy. We're here to just actually show via sheer visuals, via sheer motion graphics, how to make this money, how this AI side hustle works, right? Because he's making this content for his outer circle, and obviously that's going to be like the laziest people in his, in his audience. So now we understand, okay, how we can make things easier to watch, how to increase watch time, how to make things, again, much more easy to consume as a viewer. And as you understand it from the viewer's perspective, as you understand more about their audience and, their viewers, you can start to create better videos that increase watch time. And as I increase watch time, and as I get more attention rates, and as I start to understand their audience and YouTube as a whole, I can start charging more. That's what they start judging you on. They're going to start looking at the details of your work. And if your details start including the things that I mentioned earlier, right? So when it's easier to scan your eyes throughout the entire video, when it's easier to understand what the video is actually about and exploring topics about the purpose of the video, and when it's easier to actually learn from it, right? Then the videos get better. And YouTubers, they have an eye for this stuff. They just want to see if you have an eye for it. And that's what trials are for. That's what testing is for. That's what first videos are for. That's what portfolios are for. So if you can increase watch time using methods like these, if you can increase the amount of attention that you're getting for your clients, then you can ultimately charge high. You can beat everybody else. This is the one key thing. This is the first thing that I would do to improve my editing. Obviously, there's more stuff to do, right? But this is the first thing that I would do. And this is the first thing that helped me to jump from $300 to $3,000 per video. Now, if you want to see more stuff, so more frameworks and more different diagrams that break down how editing works, I've created a 41-page document that goes into how I scaled from $300 to $3,000 per video. It covers the mistakes that you're currently making. It covers how to immerse viewers through the 3 formats of editing, which is sound, story, and visual. It includes real-life case studies of this actually working, and it also includes the next steps that you must take in order to charge like minimum $1,000. So if you want, the document can be found in the description or the comments of the video, and you can click the link there. It'll be completely free, okay? And you will learn all about how I scaled from $300 to $3,000 per video.